Good afternoon. 4 years ago, when I came to this event, when we had this event for the first time, many of us were meeting each other, saying hello. 4 years later, I consider each of you friends, even family. We fought together, we've worked together, we've been able to laugh every now and then together and smile, but we have also grieved together for the loss that you had already sustained and for the so many lives that have been lost since. But we are still here 4 years later, and we are still fed up. We know that if we want to succeed, we have to be just as persistent as those who would deal this death. We have to be just as persistent as these drug companies. That we have to show up every single day and to fight for the inches that become the feet, that become the yards, that become the miles of progress, that mean that next mom doesn't have to lose her son, and that next child doesn't have to lose their parent. Much of this journey started for me several years before I became Attorney General, when I met with Emily Walton. She told me about her son, TJ. She shared her loss with me. She told me about the struggles she faced as a mom and the frustration she felt by being ignored by the pharmaceutical companies, by the federal government, sometimes by her own state government. She was often told that that wasn't their job. I'm here to tell you this is all of our jobs. I made her a promise, sitting right there that day, that when we looked at these allegations, when we looked at the facts, if she was right, we would absolutely hold them accountable. And I've kept that promise. The day that Emily and I stood in the Attorney General's office and sued Endo Pharmaceuticals was a good day. We were going to hold them accountable. We were going to hold them accountable for peddling one of the most dangerous opioids we've ever seen, for marketing it to veterans, for trying to tell us that it wasn't all that addictive and that people could use it safely. They lied to us. They lied to TJ. And because of that, Emily's family had to figure out how to deal with that loss. But Endo was just the start. As your Attorney General, I have now sued 7 of these opioid manufacturers and distributors. 7, and we're just getting started. Companies like Cardinal Health, AmerisourceBergen, Mallinckrodt, McKesson, Johnson & Johnson, and even Walgreens. These companies, these lawsuits, they are about a single mom who lost their son, but they are about so much more. They're about seeking justice for every family that's lost. They're about seeking a better world where our next generations don't face the same threat of addiction they do now. They're for common sense, where we, the people, don't believe that hundreds of millions of addictive pills ought to be flowing into our communities every year. And they're justice for all of us that know that wonderful person that we've lost. That friend, that family member, for me, that neighbor. About 5 years ago, we lost a neighbor that lived 8 houses down from me. That night he overdosed. His friends took his wallet, took his car keys, stole his car, and left him on a driveway to die. And his then 14-year-old sister, Celeste, who'd ridden her bike back and forth in front of my house for the 5 years, every day before that, had to figure out what the world means when her older brother can be taken like that. This time last year, I was in traffic downtown Lexington, 3 p.m. on a Thursday, and had to pull an overdosing man from a car. We believe he'd been taking carfentanil, and as we yanked him from that car and pulled him to the middle of the street, he stopped breathing. You all have seen that. He turned from his regular color to blue to purple, and the next color, folks, is dead. He stopped breathing for over 2 minutes. Thankfully, Lexington police with Narcan showed up and were able to revive him. But everyone out here who has lost someone or has seen someone go through that knows exactly what that looks like. And that happens in each and every one of our neighborhoods every single day. This is the challenge of our times. It is now killing 30 Kentuckians every week. Those are 30 people that we love that are never coming back. Folks, I have an 8 and a 9-year-old. That is an entire class of children. We have to be fed up. We have to demand a better world. It's also ripping apart our families. We see it, more kids in kinship care and foster care than ever before that have lost a parent due to a fatal overdose or have lost a parent because addiction has kept them from being a parent. And we're losing out. Our future, the jobs of the future, depend on how we address this challenge. They can talk about any bill they want in Frankfurt that they said will create jobs. But let's face it, if our people aren't healthy enough, if they are not addiction-free, we cannot create the type of future for our kids that we truly need and that they truly deserve. So at the end of the day, whether it's this or the other challenges we face every single day, our kids deserve a better Commonwealth. Part of that better Commonwealth and part of getting there is by holding accountable these companies that have made billions upon billions flooding our communities with drugs. We know that 80% of people using heroin right now, 80% became addicted through prescription pills. That does not happen by accident. Take one company that we sued, McKesson Pharmaceuticals. McKesson distributed 18,434,834 doses of prescription opioids in a 6-year period to Floyd County, Kentucky alone. Based on their population, 38,000, that amounts to 477 pills for every man, woman, and child. And like David said, they've got a duty. If they're seeing a strange or suspicious rate of prescription of pills flowing into a community, they have an absolute duty to report it to the DEA. And do you think that happened? No. But they kept making billions upon billions while each and every one of our communities were absolutely ravaged. Take Mallinckrodt, which we just recently sued. For decades, people would go into their doctor's office saying, I want my Mallinckrodts. Folks, when the numbers come out on that suit, I think we will prove that they sent enough dangerous opioids into this state to addict every man, woman, and child that we have. It is disgusting, and it has to stop, and we are making our stand. Because that's what it's going to take to create the Commonwealth and the future that we deserve. One where we act with decency, where we act with humility, where we know that in Kentucky we listen to and we help the families around us. That when someone falls into addiction, they're not the only victim, it's their family, their community, their neighbors, and that we as our brother's keeper have a duty to reach out, to provide that help, to provide every single tool in our disposal to get them better. Because I'm committed. I'm committed through our opioid disposal program, through better education, to reversing the rate of new addiction. That future is possible. But then we still have, I believe, the hundreds of thousands of people in this state that are suffering from addiction, which is a more difficult challenge than most of us could ever comprehend. But just look around us today. Look at all of these tables. We are all here as one voice, as one community, to provide as many services as we can. So when that friend of ours hits rock bottom, we not only have a place for them to go, but we have a friend to hand them off to. Folks, what we're doing in this community is so critical. The better tomorrow that we want for our kids is our responsibility to create. But it takes being persistent. It takes being absolutely fed up. And I'll make you a promise. Every single day that I serve you in government, every single day beyond that, I'm going to be right here, not every year, but every day, fighting this challenge, creating the type of Commonwealth that my kids and your kids deserve. Thank you all very much.